Yeah, it's recording now. Yeah, so
Okay.
tell me about degrowth.
Yeah, for sure. So I learned in the masters about it indirectly. It was just a paper I read about the SDGs, and there was this one guy who pointed out that like SDGs has, I think it's SDG 8, who has economic growth in it as well, and he showed that like it's not possible to grow the economy and keep the sustainability going, like to say like on technical.
Yeah.
So and he like actually like did the science and like calculated of how much um like it's just not possible. I don't remember exactly the numbers, but he's the idea is pretty much like the economy that grows um uses more natural resources, and there's people saying like, yeah, there's like decoupling, so we use less resources because of more efficiency.
Mhm.
But just because we use less, absolutely, like the resource use is still rising. So, and what the SDG 8 is saying is like, I think 3% of economic growth per year, which doesn't sound a lot, but it actually means 23 years the economy doubles. So like in 50 years we have it 4 times as much as big, and that means we're producing 4 times as much as now, and the earth won't be able to take that, is what he shows. And I was just like, oh yeah. And then like the idea of degrowth is, I agree with you that it's the spirit is the same as sustainability and well-being and living in harmony with nature. I think that's all like speaking to the same frequency. But the problem is that all these other concepts like well-being economy and stuff like this can be co-opted by capitalists, whereas degrowth can't, because it's just saying no, like it's putting a hard cap on economic growth. So it's sort of
Mhm.
like um, it's really, really direct. And yeah, do you know what I'm saying?
But degrowth, like, is it so? For example, would it be used in like at what scale? Like a small scale, and then like concretely, when you said, you would stop a certain system from happening, like what would it be? Because for me, as I said, so first of all, when it comes to the sustainable development goals, yeah, that's the I work in an organization that really you know the direction of this organization is also based on these sustainable development goals, because it's the UN, obviously, so those are the goals of the UN. And I work specifically on the one like 13, like climate action, and the one on food security, the two. But I know from experience that unfortunately the problem is that these are all silos, so there is not a lot of a very integrated vision. So it's like every organization works for their specific development goal in a way, and there is a little bit of effort to for sure to integrate them, but at the end of the day, like, not that much. So for sure, like the decent work and the number 8, the decent work and economic growth, if it's left just by itself, I agree, it doesn't make any sense. I think the point is to, so first of all, what does economic growth means, right? Does it mean just the GDP? Like, that's I don't think it's really relevant. Or does it mean, for example, yeah, maybe more people have work? It's really I don't know exactly how it is defined in the SDGs. I have to read it. But what's important is that it's done not for the sake of it. For the sake of it, it's just done in a way, again, that is sustainable, and it's conscious. Like, not just, for example, there are so many places where poor people have works that are really very difficult and a lot of hard labor just because they have no other option.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the economy is growing because they have jobs, I guess, but what kind of a way of living is that, right? So obviously it needs to be integrated with um, uh, with decent work, with health, ensuring that it's a safe work, ensuring that then the person has time to do whatever else they want. So I think it's all a matter of integration with other things and making it sustainable. So yeah, I wanted to better understand when you say like putting a hard no, it would be a hard no to what exactly?
Mm. The idea is that we don't need to uh, raise GDP to create a better life for um, people in the global south, or in
Mm-hmm.
general. Like there is one example that is like very illuminating to me when you compare the United States and like
Mm-hmm.
countries like Spain, Portugal, Costa Rica, who all have like a per capita way lower GDP. So it's maybe like third, or in case of Costa Rica, only a fifth of the per capita GDP of the US, but they have
Mm-hmm.
better scores when it comes to, they have a higher life expectancy, they have a better well-being score, they have good education, they have sanitation and good levels of nutrition. So they pretty much, they're just like, with a leaner economy, they hit all the marks that we need to hit. But what
Yeah.
capitalism does, and the growing economy is capitalistic, and that's how it is baked into SDG 8. What it does is it creates more than what is actually needed, to the detriment of the people producing it and the earth. So
Yeah,
actually,
yeah.
it's necessary to. And there's one thing also. Oh, just let's leave it at that. Also, like, do you have thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I was just actually reading again how the GDP is calculated. So it's private consumption plus private investment plus government investment plus government spending, more or less. And yeah, so I completely agree with you. We definitely should not at all focus on this. Like that's I remembered when I was studying it in school or at university, I was also thinking to calculate how well a country or a population is doing only by the GDP doesn't make any sense. Like 100% is even detrimental because it's in any case it's an average, meaning that you can also have very rich people and then very poor people, and the GDP will be an average, right? So it
Mm.
doesn't tell anything. So for me, yeah, for sure, it's an indicator that um, I don't think it's relevant at all when it comes to the well-being if it's not integrated. Because again, I think that if we find like a balance, because for example, like production or government investment or whatever, or private consumption, it's okay. Like it's not like that per se is bad. The problem is that it is seen as the only important thing in the consumerism societies, um, and again is not integrated with a way of living that is more sustainable and that is more conscious. So for example, as you said, it's exactly as you said, like a country like Costa Rica or even Uruguay, they may have a GDP that is low or normal, whatever, but then they have a lot of other, like the population is really healthy because they have a good medical system, or they have a way of really producing food that is more in harmony with nature, and people are just generally speaking more aware. So if you integrate all these elements, I don't think that we can say GDP, Sustainable Development Goal 8, is bad per se. I think it's just what's important is that we have to remove the importance of it. That's just one aspect. Like production, sure, generally speaking, the fact that a country produces, it's okay, there's nothing wrong about it, but it's how much we produce and how, and the intention behind. So that's
What I'm curious about is, like, if you're working on SDG 13, are you in any way influenced by SDG 8 as well? Is it
well,
still?
Well, the only thing that we have to do basically is that, for example, when we develop a project that let's say on agroforestry, because the problem is that when you work on project that the objective is to help the environment or to help people produce in a way that is more in harmony with the environment, the key problem often is that the people there, they're very poor, right? And they have big families, and usually they working in a way that protects nature, usually it's a longer term production, and you may produce even less than in other ways. So for example, many people in rural area, a way that they have to have quick money is to cut all the trees and to sell like the charcoal. They do that all the time, like in Africa, in Asia too. Whereas what we introduce sometimes is to, instead of burning all the trees to produce charcoal, we say like, why don't you try to, I don't know, grow this kind of crops, but in a way that it's like in an agroforestry system, which is without cutting trees, or beekeeping. That's also something that it's an activity that you can have an income and you protect nature. So we try to introduce that because it's also important for people who need food to have work to get money to buy food, right? I mean, the fact is that it's still, how can I say, you cannot obviously not consider, like, for example, if you have poor families that are starving, because many people in many places that's the situation, like there is not a lot of food around, the soil is not fertile, like it's really harsh. There is climate change, meaning that they have, maybe they start growing some things and that flood comes and everything gets, damaged, so they cannot grow anymore, or temperature increase, so they cannot, again, the yield is not as good as 10 years ago, let's say. So they're in a situation where they don't care that much about protecting nature, right? Because they care about getting food, which is completely normal. So it's a really, what we call it, a paradigm shift, to introduce a way of living that where you can still have food and you can still have some money, to, I don't know, send your kids to school or whatever, and at the same time produce in a way that is sustainable, and meaning in harmony with nature, and you don't cut trees, etc. So it's a balance. And also, what's really, I think that the real change when it comes to that sustainable goal 8, it's us. Because at the end of the day, I studied economics, right? And I know that private sector, their main objective is to make money. That's what they want. They don't care about anything now. They don't give a shit about nature. They don't care. They just don't care. But they will give us what we want. So if, and that's what I was telling you also on the phone, if a person thinks that they, if I buy like so many nice clothes, or so many bags, or a car that is super expensive, why do I buy them so much? It's because I sort of create my identity with them, and I satisfy all my needs. For example, the need to be significant, to be loved, whatever. A lot of these needs, they're kind of outsourced to material stuff. So we buy more and more and more. And the private sector, then they're going to produce more and more and more, just because we're buying more and more and more. So if we also from inside, if we understood that we don't need to outsource all this stuff, all these things to stuff, also to food, like to alcohol, the private sector, they would find a way, I think, to still sell us things, but in a way probably, like, they will not produce more if we don't buy, because it means that for them it's a loss, right? They're not going to do that. So it's really a balance. It's really a balance, because it's like a vicious circle in a way. Like the more we buy, the more they will produce, and the more they produce, the more we want to buy, because it's a program also inside of us. Like,
I agree 100%. It's like they are this really evil counterpart to our own um, feeling of undeserving and feeling of like being unwhole and stuff like this. That being said, they encourage those kind of cravings too, right? With
Oh,
advertising.
100%.
Yeah, they're really feeding on that little thing. And the idea of like I thought about this, like they really thrive on individualism, so the opposite of community. Because like if you are living alone, you need your own coffee machine, you need your own whatever. But in a community like back in Ecuador, we had like two washing machines, right?
Yeah,
Which is not making a lot of money. So they really yeah, I don't know how mostly like advertising and that kind of stuff, but also like influence in the media. Yeah, they're happy to sell us all sorts of stuff. But then that degrowth thing, for example, is about, in a way, it's a little bit like manifesting, but it's like you are getting a clean slate, you're liberating yourself from consumerism, and you forget all the stuff that is out there, and you just ask yourself what is actually needed, and you
hmm,
refocus your mind around what is needed instead of um what is like what you're made to think what you need or something like that.
yeah,
So
yeah, no, exactly. So when I was at uni, just for your first point, I was studying also marketing. And basically marketing, it was a big book, like 500 pages, and it was all about how to trick people really to make them buy things that they didn't need. So this is started with the cousin of Freud. Actually, he's one of the first who introduced the concept of linking marketing with emotions. So you link it with the subconscious. So, for example, he was one of the first who thought about selling a car by putting a beautiful woman near it, because
mm-hmm.
this now means that the people, they're not buying the car, the people are buying what they think comes with the car. So comes the status, comes the girl and pretty girls who will like the person, like again it's feeding the need, right? So the people who work on marketing, they know this super well. They use our subconscious all the time, and this is why it's extremely difficult not only to get out of that, but to even being aware. Okay, like we are aware, most people are not aware, they don't even know that they're getting brainwashed, they just don't know, right? So I think that that's the whole point, generally speaking, of awareness. It's really a journey to understand who you are and to understand what society is, and to get little by little above, like when we talk about, for example, getting into different dimensions, it's not some mystical stuff. It only means that your perception gets wider and wider and wider, and you see things, yourself, society, other people, the universe, for what they really are. So you have a global view. Um, and so when you really start to know yourself and you start to understand society, that's when you can really understand, oh, but maybe I don't need, yeah, one washing machine per person. Maybe there is a better way of living, and of producing and of consuming. So this is all 100% linked to awareness. But that's the whole point, right? The problem is that most people are not there yet. And for sure, it would be amazing to have a system that could enable it, but we don't have it. So, like, as of now, it's not like politicians are really pushing for everybody to become enlightened one, right? Even the UN, like, I'm thinking, and I don't know how to do it, but I'm thinking, all these sustainable development goals, why don't you have one that is about raising awareness? That would be so key,
True.
right? Like, it would be the cap that connects them all. And I don't know how to do it. Like, I was thinking about it because I work for the UN. I don't know if there is a way to propose it to somebody or something, but I think that's the key, generally speaking, for everything. So
Well,
yeah.
I don't know too much about the UN, but um, I don't really have a I don't really put my trust into the organization that much. I don't. Are they really about in the business of like getting the world to a better stage? I mean, certainly in
Mhm.
some sense, but and like people like you like are really like doing amazing stuff. But if you take the whole thing, I don't know, or are they more, would you say, I know, like a rough stereo or whatever, but would you say they've done more harm or more good so far?
The UN. So I heard like there are so many things about the UN. It's very complicated because, so I think as an idea, it's good because the whole point is to promote and try to is to promote the values that are important for the UN. So, for example, working with nature, like health, I don't know, this kind, everything. Yeah, the Sustainable Development Goals are linked to that, right? So reduced equality, like gender. Then, so from an ideal point of view, and also the fact that United Nations means united, right? So it means like we have one planet, we are one race, let's say. Let's work together to be better together, right? That would be, let's say, the overall vision of the UN. Then obviously in practice it's so difficult because so the UN is made of people, is not made of gods, like supernatural. It's made of normal people, right? So you can find any kind of people that is more or less aware of what they're doing, obviously. And when it comes to projects, the UN works with governments. So if the government is, for example, we do really what the government wants. So if the government doesn't want to do anything related to protecting the environment, that's not something that can be imposed in any way, which is it's totally fine, because one of the big critique also that I hear about the UN is that we're trying to impose our way of lives on other people. That,
Like
for
having
example,
fresh water.
huh?
Like having fresh access to fresh water, trying to impose that.
No, no, but for example, like in Arab countries where there are very specific roles for women, let's say the UN in their projects, gender equality is very important. So we try also to show that women can have a voice, blah blah. So, but there are critiques that say, why do you have to impose your stuff? So it's a little bit difficult. Also, in my opinion, generally speaking, the UN is doing good. But I really want to also hear what you have heard about it. But the fact is that it's a work that is done also with the governments and with the people. Like, it's not the UN, it goes and does a project, for example, but then maybe the project doesn't continue, like it lasts 3 years, 4 years, and then what happens sometimes is that people, like poor people, they get actually dependent on these projects, and they're not going to do. I've been to those countries where people they don't work because they're just waiting for projects to come and to give them the seeds and to, I don't know, give them the tools, whatever. They're not going to work by themselves, right? So it creates what's called what is it called, like aid dependence or something like that, which is also an issue, obviously, because it means that people don't do things by themselves, but they become dependent on these funds, on this aid, on this whatever, which is not good. And governments too, is sometimes they have the same mentality. They become dependent on, in a way, on projects coming and coming and coming. So it can be also that unsustainable in a way. But that's, I don't know how much it's a problem. It's because people are not really working together to then really do things that are good for them. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying.
The last point, not
Like, like if we go to a country and we implement a project, and then the people, they stop doing everything after the project is over. It's because they also, I don't know if they don't care, or they start having this mentality where they're not going to continue doing stuff by themselves and for themselves. And also the government, like they always wait for things from other people to come, like where is money or tools or whatever. And so they don't really get out of the situation by themselves, right? That's also an issue, like poverty, for example. It's a whole system that has to be changed, but it has to be changed by the government. That's politics, right? It's rather than really small projects here and there. So it's very difficult. It's very difficult. I mean, for me, what my purpose as a person, I don't think that the UN will change the world. I mean, it is changing it, but I don't think it's going to be, the answer of every problem. But I think it's doing more good than bad, because the objective is really, again, like to help the environment and etc. And that's okay for me. I mean, for me, as long as I work with nature and to help people and help nature, that's what I want. That's what I want to do. Then I would never work for the UN, for example, in an organization that works only on Sustainable Development Goal 8. Like, I would not do that, right? But the ones that I work with, it's what I see. It's they're doing work that is helpful. That I can see that, yeah. But what do you think about it?
I think it's really good to have a like overarching body like that goes over the borders, and they say like, okay, these are like, I don't know, what is it, like 19, 18 goals. So, and they actually lay it out so people can actually point to stuff and say like, it's not quite right what you do there. But if there was never a body that would actually show its goals and have that transparency, we couldn't say we don't agree with that. So do you know what I see? I think it's good to have that sort of body, in that sense. But then what I am concerned about is that SDG 8, and that's the one I looked into most, is just making a lot of other efforts a lot harder. So it's just this, you know.
Yeah,
And
but SDG 8, that's come from the government. It's not something that it's, important. What the UN tries to do, is tries to integrate all these other SDGs, like environment, health, gender. The eighth one, that's the one that the government usually look after the most, because
yeah,
that was the one that was considered as the key ones since forever, right?
right. Growth, growth,
So
growth.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
it's
I
not
guess I just like,
specifically a UN thing, just
yeah, I see. And then it's maybe the same with, I don't know, like IPCC reports for climate change.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just that scientists write, okay, this is what is good, what is needed, but it's become also like political of like that. I think IPCC reports have to be approved by politicians before it's published. Or is
Uh-huh.
it like the summary has to be approved by politician, but the text not, or something like
Mm-hmm.
this? But then
Mm-hmm.
they can just say, I know of one because I'm into like the food stuff. So there was one case of like in the summary they wanted to put like, we advise for climate reasons to don't eat as much meat or something like that. And but then
Mm-hmm.
like the Indian government was like, no, can we say like we encourage a what is it, like a
Yeah.
various, I don't know, something like that, because it's bad for business. And I think maybe a little bit is happening also in the UN. I don't know.
Oh, that's what I was saying before. Like, the UN is not. It has this reputation of being a neutral body, but it's not. The UN, it's the governments. Like, the UN
Mm,
is governments, right?
lots of
It's
interests,
the
yeah.
the people the organizations working on the UN. They cannot do anything if the governments don't agree. That's the thing. And the IPCC, like, I completely agree with you. The scientists, they have their own, they put their own conclusion and things, but then how the message is translated, that's also what the governments want. So, for example, maybe a big thing in the UN, in the climate change, dialogue is about meat, as you said, right? But we know that big countries like Brazil, Argentina, I don't know, for them, the meat production is super important. So they will never agree to have, to really, really reduce the meat production 100%. So they don't want that message to pass. This is, again, in my opinion, is not a UN issue per se. That's a government thing. I mean, and then, in the UN, there are papers and papers that are developed, for example, on livestock, that are not really clear by any government. It's just technical papers. But then for the ones that are more super, super high level, maybe IPCC, now I can't remember exactly what's the level of, who has to decide and on the summary, etc. But if a government, that's the same for everything, like for everything, even with any kind of number, with any data that you have, it really depends what you want to say. If you know what you want to say, you can always transform the data. Like that's everybody does it, right? Everybody. So for sure, I 100% agree with you. Like, I think that most governments, they are after money. That's the whole issue. They want money. They don't want to change the production system. There are the lobbies that are super big, like some private sector entities are super big, and they're going to give the government so much money, and so the government will never go against them. That's a huge problem everywhere. Like, I know, like, for example, in the US, I know the what's the word? The guns, in any case, lobby is super big. In Brazil, I would imagine the one related to meat is super big. So the governments, what do? Unfortunately, people who become president, with very few exceptions, like the ex-president of Uruguay, I love him so much. I don't know if you know him, Mujica.
I don't know him, but that's cool.
I love him so. Like, he did a documentary that I will look for it and I will send it to you, because it's about that. It's about sustainability, production, etc. It's amazing. And he was the president of Uruguay. He was living in poverty, like he was living in the countryside, like everybody else. But most presidents are not like that, right? Most presidents, they just want money and they want to get reelected. And they are little bitches to the private sector and to the lobbies. That's the reality. And they have also their own ideas. Maybe they think, but maybe they have a different opinion. Like, maybe they think, but meat is good. Like, climate change is caused by other stuff. Like, meat is not that important. So why do we have to sacrifice all of our meat because of that? Like, they have their own stuff going on. And that's the issue with the UN, is that you try to have one vision for countries and people who are completely different and have completely different visions. And that's a problem, right?
In that way, Paris was a miracle, 2015, that you have, like, what, 95% of all countries, like, signing one document. It's non-binding, but still, that is, I don't think that's ever happened before.
I mean, again, like, for me, as you said, is non-binding. There are now so many ways that countries also manage to say that they're doing something good for the environment, but actually in tricky ways they're not. Like, but
that is the whole point of, like, degrowth. Again, I'm sorry to bring it up so many times, but it's hard to argue that you're doing something good for the environment when you grow in the economy. Like, those things don't work together. When you grow in the economy, like, GDP goes up, nature goes down, something like that.
So again, I don't know exactly. I don't know, but for example, like, if you see, like, so here the GDP again is it is private consumption plus private investment plus government investment plus government spending. So it depends, like on what is the government investing, for example, or on the I think that what's important to understand is where is the money going. Is the money going to things that, yeah, to produce like more things that are useless to us and that are harmful to nature, or are they producing things that are actually but I agree with you, like that's the problem. The more you spend, we don't need all that spending 100%. So I agree with you, like the GDP, the GDP should definitely be more on the lower side, should not be the focus 100%, but I don't think that it's one against the other. I think it's more, let's find a way to produce things that are sustainable. And then, like, for example, I don't know, what if the government wants to build like a road, let's say, like this could be good if it's done, like, obviously, again, in a way where you don't destroy a whole forest, obviously, right? So you have to think about all these safeguards, but generally speaking, I don't know, they want to build a school, or they want to, it depends what you want to do, but for sure 100% has to be, like, the way of life has to change. So we don't need, again, to consume so much, we don't need to have so much stuff. This has to change for sure. So it comes from
that's
us.
already
Yeah.
like coming to that point of like it's not good right now. That is already, I think, a super valuable step to like firmly stand on. And
Mhm.
it's not enough, but if we can get everybody on board on that, like that is what's up, then that's already, because most people, not most people, a lot of people are not there. But
Well, yeah, the thing is that my opinion, I mean, there are different paths, right? Because at the end of the day, I completely agree with you that the way we are living now is not sustainable and should be changed. But how to concretely do that?
tax the rich, I'm telling you.
Yeah, so the UN what the UN is trying to do is to, for sure, is trying to push some ideology when it comes to, for example, yeah, again, protecting nature, blah blah, gender, etc. But for sure there also are other things, like the UN is not the angel coming. There are other organizations that maybe are more, yeah, they're more interested in the economic growth. So how to balance that, I am not sure, but it has to come from the government, because they're the one making the policies, for example, like they are the one that can tell the private sector, I don't know, stop consuming in a certain way, or stop producing in a certain way, or something like that. But then again, it also needs to come from us. So what do we do as an individual? Maybe we can decide to consume less, for sure. We can decide to even not live in this society, and go live in a place where is more in harmony with nature. Or we can try to raise awareness with other people, to tell the message. I don't know. What do you think? Like, how do you think that concretely things could change?
I think on all levels, yeah. um I think there needs to be a system change. I
Mm-hmm.
think there needs to be a change in mindsets, and then, like, I don't know, like the people I sometimes listen to on YouTube, like the enlightened folks, they say that's connected. So like by you sort of changing your mind, that is changing the world, and that's maybe even the only way to change the world truly. If that's the case, that would be, I don't know if that's harder or easier, but that's for sure one lane. I believe that it's at least one lane, like getting
Mm,
yourself out of the matrix, so to
yeah.
speak.
Exactly. So for sure, what we can do is live the life that is true to us. For example, like in terms of consumption, in terms of just way of life, generally speaking, and then try to live by to share the to share this message and this way of living with other people, like with YouTube or other things. Um,
and
and
just
honestly,
shedding. Like
mm,
all the ideas of like you grow up. I thought I was gonna um live in a house and have like this unconscious, but there's like the expectations, right? But I'm just like shedding, and like the pet and house sitting I'm doing, and maybe even like this is not super creative, but like buying a van and like living in the van for a bit.
mm,
All
mm,
that kind of stuff was not encouraged when you're a kid, but is actually exciting. I think that is
yeah,
there lies a bit of wisdom. Starting a community,
yeah, exactly. No, that's exactly.
meditating, all that stuff. Like that is not in the mainstream conversation, but I think I really hope. I really don't know what is growing. Is consumerism growing, or is that like alternative, like doing yoga and like eating healthy? I don't know what force is gonna win, honestly. I
Um,
hope it's the second one, you know.
yeah, I don't know. It's difficult. It's difficult to understand, to know actually. You know, for me, I also thought so much about this. And yeah, as I said, my conclusion is that I have to live a life that is true to me. So yeah, for me too, definitely the community thing is very important. So I'm heading there. I don't think that I mean, I'm happy being in my house. So for me, it's not like a source of, anxiety in a way, thinking, okay, I live in my house rather than sharing the house with other people. So I'm okay also having the house, even if, for example, the van life would be actually pretty cool. I also thought about it.
Mm,
Um, yeah, but yeah, and I think what's important is also doing something when it comes to a job that you think that you are more helping rather than doing harm, could be anything, could be even just being a musician, which is amazing, right? But definitely not working for something that it's harmful to people or to the nature, etc. And then that's it. I'm not, like, me myself personally, as of now, I'm not really interested in, like, really getting into politics, for example, to try to change everything, unless, as I said, unless it's through the UN. Like, because I don't see myself belonging to a country, right? So I could never enter into Italian politics to change, like, Italian society. But through the UN, I think that the UN is actually a very powerful tool. Like, if we could push things through the UN, that would be like that way of life, right?
it's true. Yeah,
Really
it's actually
more sustainable. And but
there's
yeah.
having this amount of power. If it's just were flipped to the good, and um they would promote things like meditation, or promote things like
Mm.
and I'm not saying this because it's just my stuff, but I think that is like objectively good for the world, like to live slower, you know. So if
Yeah.
they having it there and having it promote a little bit more of the what is actually healthy, yeah, that is actually hopeful to think about that we have this. Yeah, don't you agree?
Yeah, no, I was actually, yeah, because as I said, I think that really all these development goals are good, but again, they are really in silos. And then I know that, again, there are so many other interested, like, the UN doesn't work without the governments, and the governments, they don't work without the private sector. So you can have the best intention, but it's, at the end of the day, the actions then are still harmful. Then you're not doing anything. So
Mm,
I agree that it would be amazing to, I don't know how to do it, honestly, but to integrate in these goals also one related to awareness, so to try to have people realize some things, because it's all about awareness at the end of the day.
It's super easy. You say like, instead of grow the economy, grow your awareness. Boom, the rest we can leave.
Yeah, exactly, 100%.
Yeah. Are you flying to Namibia tonight?
Yeah, I'm going to
Oh,
Namibia. Yeah,
wow.
yeah, I'll
How
go
is that
to.
project looking?
Hmm?
How is that project looking?
It's not a project. There is this fund. It's called the Green Climate Fund. It's a fund that I work with a lot, because they give the money basically to these projects to help nature and fight climate change, etc. So it's just a conference that they do in Namibia for a week to explain. They have a new strategy, so they want to explain their new strategy in for Africa specifically. So
Mm,
I'm just going there to listen to what they're saying and try to see how we, in my organization, how we can better work with government to have this money from the Green Climate Fund and to make projects that are, but the GCF, for example, they give a lot of money, and they are like, one thing that I love is that, for example, they're giving so much importance also to like indigenous people. Like, that's so important. Like, just the way of life, obviously, and the knowledge of indigenous people, that's key. And just to really have people remember that, all the knowledge sometimes that we need is also already there. The way of
mm,
life that we need is also already there, but it's completely forgotten in some countries. Like in Brazil, they just push indigenous people out and out of the forest because they want to destroy the forest. It's a disaster. It's a complete
I know.
disaster. So, the thing is that there are good things that are being done. It's just that at the end of the day, people are people. So even if you say, like, yeah, like, we give you money, but you have to be really, you have to understand what indigenous people do, for example, and you have to try to integrate it in your project, or in your new, I don't know, in how you, in your daily life, whatever. But then if people, they say, yeah, 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 I will do it, but then they don't actually give a shit, and it's just, it becomes only an image, right? Like, yeah, I will do it so I get the money, but then I don't actually do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Again, that's always about awareness. But yeah, I'm excited to go there. I love to travel, so yeah, that's a big thing for me. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this
Have
is,
you been to Namibia
no,
before?
I've never been. No,
Um,
no, I've never been.
yeah, I don't even know. I would have to look it up. Where is it in Africa?
Yeah, it's I think in the center and bit south. I can't
Mm.
remember exactly where it is.
Oh, I think it's actually bordering South Africa. I think it's super.
Maybe,
Maybe not.
maybe.
Okay, but it
Yeah.
sounds super super fun. That's I don't know. That's never something I really consider, like traveling Africa. Maybe because like the infrastructure is not really there.
Mhm.
But like the travel hotspots are like South America and like Southeast Asia. But Africa, I don't know. Maybe like, yeah, I'd love to hear how you like Namibia. Do you have some time to do some exploring as well?
No, I'll just go actually to the capital. I don't have that much time now. Yeah, maybe in the future, but no, I'll just be in the capital. I know that the desert is beautiful there. There is
Yeah.
like it's very famous, but no, I'm not going.
Okay. It's maybe like that painting. It looks like uh no, it's actually a photograph, but it looks like a painting with like the orange and the blue night.
Mm-hmm.
This one, yeah. It may be in
Yeah,
Namibia.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No, that's the dunes. They're really famous.
Do you want to talk a little bit about manifesting?
Yeah, sure. Manifesting.
Because in your blog, you mention it a few times. You have like how to create part one, part two, part three, part four. It's like an
Yeah.
ongoing series.
Yes, so that was my objective actually. I really want to, because how can I, manifesting, which I prefer to call creating, but it's the same thing. Um, you hear there are bits and pieces everywhere about how to do it, but it's very, I never heard one person that really gets the whole picture. So you have little pieces and bits of pieces everywhere. That's why on the blog I'm trying actually to do a step-by-step approach to make it clear and also to have the whole picture. So yeah, what about creating? So you want me to, shall I just explain what I think it is?
Maybe maybe like an overarching explanation what is manifesting, and then also like some juice, like some like nuggets and like powerful principles,
Yeah,
whatever comes to mind.
yeah. So okay, this is one of my favorite topics ever.
I love it too.
Well, what is manifesting? Again, I will call it creating just because I prefer this term, but it's sort of the
Okay.
same. Creating is, it means, so the whole thing is really to understand and to be aware and be conscious of the fact that each one of us is the creator of his life. So everything that happens to me, it's because I have created it. And we all create in when we're not aware of it. Like every little action, obviously, and every word we say, it's creating the next thing and the next thing. So, but most people are not aware of it, so they don't have really control over it, and they also, the way that creation happens is that you don't create only by your thoughts, by wanting something, but it's your subconscious also plays a big role. So creation basically, when you understand how to create, it really means that you have aligned your subconscious with your conscious. So you are whole, which means that you have done previously a whole, all the work on yourself to become whole. This is extremely important. It's a very big work that all of us need to do. But once you have reached this wholeness, let's say, in a way, and you can realize and you can be aware that everything you say and do which are aligned are going to create the next thing, then you really start living your life in a way that it's really aware, and you start to decide what you want out of your life. And you understand that you can do and be anything you want. Like there is no rule, because one of the key things is that our identity, like who we think we are, it's based on our past, right? And it's based on our programmings and on the culture, everything else. But when you raise your awareness, you will actually understand that who you are, it's not only the sum of your past experiences. There is also an awareness that is more sort of always there. And when you understand that you really free yourself from your past, and you are free to decide to be whoever you want to be. And so what you have to do is just to select what you want out of any possibility, and you see the future in a way, like you understand, you see like a future you in a future situation, and you become it. So that what's really important is to bring this situation here in the present, in a way, like you become the person that is already in the future. And in that way, you're going to basically attract that future. You're going to create it, and it's going to be attracted to you, and it's going to happen. Like, it's a little bit complicated. I don't know if it's clear what I'm saying, because it's really a complicated, it's a very complex subject. But what I'm trying to say is that when you can decide to have an objective in your life, like, I don't know, for example, I wanna yeah, I want to start a community in a way, like in the future, and I want to be the person who can live in the community well. I can already start embodying it. So for example, like, I know it sounds a little bit weird, but for me also, my operation that I did with my eyes, it's because I'm already preparing for that in a way. Next week I'm going to go to like a survival course, like we are going with nature, and they will teach us how to make fire, how to make shelter. I want to
That's
learn
awesome.
these
That's
things.
really, really cool.
Yeah, because in my mind I am so like already there in the community. Like I'm already there. I am already there with you, peers, Shay, whoever else. I'm already there. I'm already that person. So this is happening. This is gonna happen for me.
You need to
Okay.
wait for us, though.
No, yeah, no, but we will go all together. But for example, if because my whole being is aligned to that, like my subconscious wants it, my conscious wants it. But if, for example, let's say that I have this thought that I really want to go live in a community, but let's say that my subconscious is scared, that my subconscious says, no, it's not safe, like you're going to give up all of your studies, all of your career, for what? And this is basically the mentality that most people have. If you are in that state, you will never go live in a community, like, unless there is a big change and you really work so much on yourself to sort of not being sucked into this subconscious thing. But otherwise, no, because you only create if you are aligned. So your subconscious needs to be aligned with your will. You become the person that you see in the future, meaning that you're going to start acting like that person, thinking like that person, and you're going to become that person. And now all that remains to be done is to just, that reality to be shown in front of you, which that's the easy thing, because when you have become completely that experience, it's going to happen. Like, you don't know when, but it's gonna happen. Like, the community is gonna
You're
happen.
preaching to the choir. I believe in the idea that we're sort of magnets, and by
Mm,
changing our minds, the outer reality changes as well. It's a little bit
yeah.
like in the Matrix, of like the little kid holds up a spoon and bends it, and then Neo is
Mhm.
like, why? How do you do that? And the kid is like, the trick is not to bend the spoon, but to bend yourself so the spoon bends, right?
Yes, exactly.
Um,
It comes from within us. Like um, yeah, it's all about how we. Um, it's almost. I wrote a blog about it. It's almost like. Yeah, when you become it and you feel it, you really feel it, and you connect to like this higher frequency in a way. And you become it. It's like the material world is going to organize itself for you to then have that experience.
so
It's like really you attract it in a way, like physically. Yeah.
So how often do you do that? Is it when you want to create something cool, you do it, or do you do it all the time? It's just like you're constantly having deja vus because you already envisioned something, and then it happens, and so you're like, oh, and like, how often does that happen? That like creating process.
So it depends. So for example, I use it also in a very practical way. Let's say that, for example, tomorrow I have to speak in front of 300 people, let's say. I will, the day before, I will meditate. And I will connect to a higher frequency, and I will see myself doing the presentation, whatever, and I will see myself being happy about it, being relaxed, being blah 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 blah. And so, but I really have to feel it, and so I will become that. And the day of the presentation, this is what is going to happen. And this, I've been doing this for all of my work things, and that it 100% it always works. I also use it for things that are more like longer term. So for example, let's say that I have I don't know, let's say that I had that I have a problem with a person, or a big fight or whatever, or there is friction with a person, and let's say that there are a lot of emotions involved, and maybe I'm very sad, or the other person is very sad. Always through meditation, because meditation really helps you to listen to yourself, and to see things from a different perspective. You start seeing in your meditation how you want that relationship to be transformed. Like, what do you want in the long term? Do you want to have a certain kind of relationship? Do you want to be in good terms? Do you want to, like, how do you see the relationship with the person going in the future? Like, what is the big picture? Like, why am I in the situation where now I'm sad? What do I have to learn from it? And what do I want it to teach me, so that I can have the future that I want? And this is basically all about changing perspective, and it's a transformation of states. And usually then that's going to happen. Like, even relationship with people, it's all a matter of you change perspective, you become the person you want to become, so that you change your way of communicating, you give different messages, and usually then you're going to start seeing the feedback. So you create also like this, like a little bit on the long term, but with a very specific goal. Or you can also create more really as a vision. Like, for me, as of now, the community thing is more a vision. It's not very, very concrete yet. Like, it's not like we're really doing anything concrete as of now. But like, I see myself, like, in the future, what is it that I want me to be? Like, I want to be in nature with my friends, in an environment that is in harmony with whatever, with nature, people. I see that very strongly. I don't know yet when it's going to happen, but I see that as my future, compared to, for example, living my life like in a big city, let's say, right? And having like a stressful job. No. I see my future more like having a job that is in respect to nature and blah blah, the things that we said, and in that kind of environment. So that's more of a vision. But I'm already seeing that I'm starting slowly to take concrete steps to go towards it. But it's more of a vision. Like, it's not like there is that specific goal that I know when it's going to happen. It's more of a flow in a way. So yeah. What about you?
That was beautiful explanation. I share the main framework for sure, like in the way you talked about the conscious and subconscious mind. I would even go further and say like the subconscious mind is the body, is like the same thing.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I think of it like I'd sometimes do this exercise of just saying I am, and like closed eyes, and like that space that is like lighting up when you say I am is different from the awareness of the body. So the awareness of the body doesn't touch that I am space. Like the I am is like in its own little it's like isolated almost. But if you have like little visions, or like let's keep talking about community, I envision a community, then my body lights up, and it's about like having those two things work together, the subconscious and the conscious. But the feeling is hard to sort of remember, so I have to use a conscious picture sort of to anchor my vision. So like the community thing is like a mental thing that I can keep coming back to, so the body lights up again. um, so that kind of split thing, and like to for the mind to be occupied on the visual, so that the body can light up. I think the body is almost more powerful than the mind, but you need sort of like the mind to activate the body. And then what it is like, for me at least, is really like working together. So it's not like using that image as much as possible, just like hammering that image in your body. It's like sometimes imagining something 3 times is enough.
Mm-hmm.
And but sometimes maybe it's good to like repeat something, but it's yeah, I really like the word harmony. Like you used it a few times, but like harmony of the conscious and subconscious mind. And if those two things are saying yes to the same thing, I also believe like chances are super super high that it's going to happen. I mean, it's not going to happen in the same way as you thought, but I've had it many times. Like when thinking of like I was playing guitar in Bern back when I was studying law. Tried to study there, but I didn't really like it. But anyway, I was just like sort of isolated playing guitar, and I vision myself like with someone I really care for playing music, and I never thought it would be like Ion, like the setting that we met and stuff like that. But it had totally happened, right? So that's
Yeah,
just one of many examples. But so
yeah,
I do believe it. I do believe in it. Yeah.
yeah, and it's not even, yeah, it just happens, but um, many people are just not aware of it. So if you're not aware of it, you don't even, if it happens, you don't even know that it's happening because of you. um but yeah, like the subconscious is in the body. Like the body is basically the memory of your subconscious. That's why, for example, okay, I'm gonna say like a case that it's very a bit brutal, but it's the first one that comes to mind. Let's say that you had very bad like sexual experiences when you were little, let's say, right? And now you are 30. And let's say that on a conscious level, you really would like to have a loving relationship and, have a normal, even sexual life, whatever. You want to have it, consciously. That's your dream. But as soon as maybe you start being intimate with a person, that your body kind of closes up and it
Mm,
doesn't want that. And that's because your conscious maybe has forgotten or not forgotten, but maybe is in peace with the past, whatever, and wants to move forward. But your body, no, your body remembers everything and your body did not move forward. Your subconscious is still
mm,
scared and it says that starting a relationship with another person is not safe. So they don't want to do that. So um, when you have these cases, it's also it's extremely important to also start reprogram the subconscious, because
mm,
otherwise your body will always remember what it knows to be safe, because your body, the objective is just to be safe and survive, right? That's what it wants to do. So for people who have experienced traumas, even smaller things, obviously, but just traumas, generally speaking, it's super important to reprogram it, because if you don't, you may find an alignment, but it may be an alignment that um, doesn't give you anything. So, for example, if in this case that I use, the alignment could be the body doesn't want to have any relationship and the conscious says, okay, then let's not have any relationship. That's also alignment, right?
mm,
But and this is good to have it in the first period, but then you may want to also start doing a little bit of work to shift a little bit and have a different alignment, very slowly, obviously, but you know to see if there is maybe something more than life can be. So many people, like me including, and know peers too, we did a lot of work on our subconscious for it to be aligned with our conscious, because what we wanted to do is maybe like be more outgoing, be less worried about, I don't know, whatever, having less fears, have less insecurities. Those were all in our subconscious, so we did a lot of work to align again. And that's yeah, again, that's the key to create, because if you're not aligned, then everything that you want is going to come out of a place of lack in a way, and it's not going to be your truth. So it's not going to happen, because I don't know, it's like at some point it's really like the universe. If you really want something and you're aligned and you're following your truth, the universe will give it to you. Like I don't know how it works specifically, but it's just gonna happen. But you need to be in a good place and with a pure heart and this kind of stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That is very key. Like that, you said it in the beginning, but the idea of like feeling safe, like first step, you have to feel safe to start create. That's like the framework around. Like you can do I think I don't know who does that, but I think it's more like magic, like with a K at the end. People who do that, they do like a circle around them, right? When they have like a little ceremony and light the candles and stuff like this, because that circle identifies this is a safe spot. I don't know anything about magic, but I think that's what's the point. It's like, okay, we're in a safe bubble now. You can sort of relax and start creating. And then
Yeah.
I also mostly, I think, consciously create while meditating. But if you feel
Mhm.
safe all the time, then you can just sort of create when you're having a coffee, or you can create like all day and you actually don't need to meditate because
Yeah.
you're always in that sort of like safe frequency is just like embedded in you. So you can always just, something comes to mind, boom. Okay. One cool way, it's a little odd way of thinking about it. Um, but I really like it. It's like the conscious mind is like the male principle and the subconscious mind is the female principle. And the male principle sort of impregnates the female principle. And then it like gives birth to the new reality. And
Mhm.
so that process can, I don't know, happen at any second, and maybe it is happening any second, but it's happening more consciously if you're in a safe, if you're feeling safe.
Yeah. And also, like, safe, it was an example, because it's very, very important. But the way that you become whole and you become completely aligned is when all of your needs are met. So it's not just safety, but also like love, like you feel loved. You don't feel like you don't feel lack of love, but you know that love is inside of you. You feel accepted for who you are because you accept yourself. um whatever, like there are all sorts different needs, that we have as people. And when we feel whole is because we know that, yeah, we're safe in because all of our needs have been met, basically. So we are not really fighting and forcing for things outside of us to happen, because we know we don't need. That's also one thing we didn't talk about: attachment. When you're whole, you don't need the thing to happen. For example, the community,
Mm,
if
mhm,
it doesn't happen, it's not a huge deal. Like, I
mm,
will still see you and peers, for sure. It's not like I'm so attached to it and I'm forcing things and I'm telling you, yeah, let's do it tomorrow because really I want to have this community. Because if I was doing that, it would be out of luck. Like, it means that
yeah, yeah,
I'm not happy. I need the community now because I know that maybe with the community I will feel love, I will feel fun that maybe I don't now. And this creates attachment to wanting me to have the community. And when you have this attachment, then it's not gonna happen, because it means that I'm not whole, and I'm going to actually push this even more further away. This happens all the time, like even in relationship, right? The more you are attached to a person, meaning that you need the person, like without the person you are desperate, the more you're going to push away the person. Like, it's really love attraction. It's Love attraction really works. Like, two people can really love each other, but if one starts to become really needy, the other one usually steps out, and then the thing can also be reversed. It's like a cycle. So yeah, super important just um, to be whole and complete. Even if your manifestation doesn't happen, it doesn't matter. Like, it's what you said also last time. It's like, for you, share is a plus. Like, it's not like it's a need. It's You're happy by yourself, but it's a plus. Like, yeah, the community would be a plus, like an amazing plus, but still a plus. Like, it's not like we're going to be desperate without it, right? And that's how it's going to happen. It's because we're going to be in the flow, and we're not going to force things, and it's going to happen when it has to happen. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
just letting. I think big part of manifesting is also letting go to that flow.
Exactly. That's attachment is letting go. Like not having attachment is to let go. Is to have the desire, so not to not desire it anymore. You can still want the thing, but you also let it go. You're not attached to it anymore. Like I really want to have the community, but again, I'm not like super, grasping or whatever. If it doesn't happen, no problem. But I know it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
But a crazy thing is
Yeah.
that I read a lot of very old books, like the Kabbalah, or so many old books, and I'm listening to so many people that have, their certain truth, and really, at the end of the day, also the night templates. At the end of the day, it's like it's a secret that's the best kept secret in a way, even if a lot of people talk about it. But this is it: is that we are the creators. We are the creators. Like there is no God, for example, that is external to us. Like we are the creators. We are God. We are. Remember also, that was the message from at Gaia too. It's the same message everywhere. If you look into it, it's always the same message: is that there is this magic thing, or even alchemy. Alchemy is just the power to create and to change states. It's just to say that we are God, we are the creators, and that's it. It's crazy because most people don't know about it, but it's like a secret, but it's not a secret in a way, because it's not like it's hidden, but I don't know.
I think
People don't believe it's true, I guess.
secret, the secret is maybe the secret is the wrong word, but what is definitely not encouraged is to prioritize that. So sort of like um, first priority is feeling happy, right? And the rest is making stuff happen. And it's not making stuff happen and then be happy. And that's people I think
Mm.
sort of are on board. It's like it's not
Mhm.
when I get this that I'm happy,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
but they still act that way instead of actually in the morning. I think it's more popular maybe in some ways these days as well that like people go for a run in the morning. I for sure like I
Mhm.
do that stuff like meditating and exercising, that stuff I do in the morning, meaning I prioritize a high state, and then the rest, because that's really the most important thing, is your state and not your achievements. The achievements, as you said, I see them as a bonus, but like the biggest gift is like your state, I think.
Mhm.
um,
Yeah, yeah. Oh, 100%. That's the goal.
So, sorry, a little rambling, but like the secret is like to actually prioritize that, and I think that is kind of a secret, and it's definitely not encouraged. Yeah,
No, I mean, nobody knows how to do it, and nobody talks about it for some reason. But yeah, it's always the same. Like when you talk about the state, it's because the I mean, not the objective, but for me, if you ask me like what is the purpose of life, it's really to like learn about yourself through experiences, so that you can have that state. Because the more experiences you have, the more you know yourself, and the more you know yourself, the more you become whole in a way. And so you can get into that state where, being happy and being whole doesn't mean that you're never going to be sad, obviously, or you're never going to be, of course, that's normal, and you have to leave your feelings and not repress it, absolutely. But it also means that um, you probably spend less time being sad, because you have a greater perspective, and so you understand that it's usually not needed that much, right? So the more you work on yourself, the more you will be whole. And yeah, and then you can just create whatever you want. When I was in at Gaia, I don't know if I told you that, But before Gaia, I was doing, through the book Joe Dispenza. Actually, Supernatural is the first book that really taught me how to create. So I love that book.
Just real quick, that's how we connected. Do you know that? Do you remember that you were reading the book in Spanish,
Oh,
and
yeah.
that's like, oh, that's a cool book, but oh, do you speak Spanish? Like, no, yeah, but I guess I understand it because I read it in Italian, and yeah,
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
my
Oh my
bad, yeah.
God. Yeah, also many memories.
But the
So
supernatural, yeah.
yeah, so when I got to Gaia, I was already in that state when I was in the creation thing. And Gaia and ayahuasca, it really solidified me the understanding that there is nothing more in a way than what is happening now. Like what is happening now and our perception of things and our how we see things, so which dimension also we're in, is everything. That's how you're here and now you are happy, and you can, the only thing that is left is for you to just create the life you want. Is you can do whatever you want, basically. That's the point. There is no limit.
Hmm.
So yeah.
That's one thing I never understood about Joe Dispenza, and it's a good approach, and I think it works for a certain period, but then it really doesn't. So he talks a lot about like it's all about overcoming, and then overcoming again. And maybe like he's very precise with his language, so I don't know. He probably didn't that do that as a mistake, but why overcoming? Like why not like loving? Like that by binary that we talked about, like the conscious and subconscious. So the conscious has to
Mhm.
overcome the body. That's just to me, maybe I read into it, but that just to me speaks into like dominating. That's like man dominating over nature. That's like males dominating over females. That's like all. It's like, why overcoming? Why not just like,
Mhm. Yeah, I think this is more semantics than anything. But for example, um, yeah, I think it's all a matter of semantics. But it talks about it. For example, let's say that you are prone to anger. Let's say, right? So whenever, I don't know, a person tells you something that you find annoying, you start yelling. Let's say, and let's say that you start getting aware that you are yelling whenever somebody triggers you. So and you don't like it, like you would like to be the person who doesn't yell when somebody triggers you, right? So the fact is that the as when you become aware, the more you become aware as it happens, and you can start to, yeah, it's like overcoming, so becoming, let's say, in a way greater than an emotion more and more. So for example, maybe today I yelled, tomorrow I yelled but I was aware of it when it was happening, the next day I yell and I was aware, and I
mm,
sort of saw, okay, maybe I don't need to yell, so maybe I started to stop yelling. So it's like overcoming that very strong negative emotion that is not aligned with what you want out of yourself, is not loving, you're hurting
no,
yourself, you're hurting the other person. So it's like slowly start to become greater and greater than that emotion, until you just don't have it anymore. Maybe a person will say something and one day you will not yell. That's just because you have finally overcome that trigger, that emotion, and you finally have become a person who doesn't yell when you know and it's not
mhm,
it's not a matter of repressing. Look, that's very important. It's not repressing. You have to do you have to do a work in order to get there. You have to get aware, you have to change perception, you have to work on your subconscious, you have to reprogram, and then you will become the person who doesn't yell anymore. So I think that's what it means.
yes, yes. I think to a certain extent, it's also about appealing to the audience. And if he said like transcend, then people are gonna be like, "Ooh, that hippie language." But I think what you said is exactly right. overcoming, the meaning is not like to step on some feeling to like get rid of it or something.
No,
It's more
no,
of like
no.
creating space so that you're actually you're not identifying with the feeling, but you're just
Exactly.
fully accepting it, and you're fully like giving it your undivided attention, and you've like sort of like let it rush through your body, and that's that. But overcoming, so in a sense, is to like detach, I think, to use
Mm,
Buddhist.
yeah, I think that that's what I was saying before. I think that Joe Dispenza has the truth, but he only presents a part of it because
What is he
according
missing?
he's missing all the work. Because, for example, all this part that I was talking about, the fact that you really start working on yourself to reprogram, and you start to understand like why you yell or blah blah blah. This is all work that Joe Dispenza doesn't talk about. It's more related to therapy. And I think and I did that with a course that is called the Personal Development School, which is amazing. And I think that's really important to do, because otherwise, if you don't do that work, I think it's very difficult to really be able to do what Joe Dispenza says. Because what Joe Dispenza says is you have an emotion, a feeling, and as you said, if you change perspective, you start detaching yourself in a way from that feeling, and you understand that it's not needed anymore, and you shift in a way. But it's not that easy. Like, you need so much work on yourself, so much work to be able to do that. It's crazy, it's so much work. So I think that's something that it's important to integrate. Like, not Joe Dispenza, just his book, I don't think it's enough to really understand how to do it. I think you need therapy work when, yeah, therapy work helped me a lot. So I think it's really, because otherwise it can be a little bit dangerous. That can be the danger that you actually repress if you don't do it well enough, or you lie to yourself. Like, yeah. But what was I saying? I was talking about Joe Dispenza. Oh yeah. No, just to say that, yeah, when I was in Gaia, then everything then was clear about the creation thing. No, that,
Right.
yeah. So yeah, no, it's beautiful. I don't know. For me, it's the most amazing thing.
And just as far as like how to actually do it, there's a bunch of little cool techniques. I sent you that screenshot. One I really like is imagining someone else saying, like, so that's kind of cool. I could use, but not use like in a bad way, but like use you saying like, oh, I'm so happy how you got X, like found a cool job, for example,
Yeah,
or found
yeah,
that new sport that you love, or like found a band,
yeah.
or I don't know, like so imagining one of your friends, like giving you praise, that is really cool.
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
one thing is also like imagining, like we could do this like in a podcast, like next podcast we could say like, imagine us in a podcast saying something happened that we want to happen, like it can be like that too.
Yeah, but that's like that's exactly also what I do. When I was talking about, for example, like if tomorrow I have a big speech, and I imagine myself
Right.
talking. That's that. Like, I also maybe
Same
imagine
thing.
a person saying, "Oh, that was such a good speech," or whatever, right? So imagining people also telling you a feedback, what's going to happen is that you're going to be the person who receives that feedback. So you're going to be in the emotion, in the high level emotion, and you're going to become that person. You're going to start, like, if I imagine myself, that's actually also how you reprogram. If you, for example, let's say that you have a wound, and let's say that you're a beautiful girl, but for some reason you feel ugly. Like, so many people have that thing, unfortunately. The way that just because maybe your mom when you were little was telling you that you're ugly all the time, so now that's what your body knows. A way to reprogram it subconsciously is that through meditation you connect to a high level emotion, and you say to yourself things that you believe, but that make you feel good and that are opposite of what you want to address. So, for example, you can tell yourself, well, I am as good looking as another person. Like you start slow, right? Like I am as good looking. I am pretty. I am, whatever that makes you feel good. And or you start imagining people telling you, you look really nice in that dress. I mean, whatever. This is all things that will get you your body to believe that that experience is happening. Because one thing we didn't talk about it, your brain doesn't know the difference between your imagination and something that is real, and this is huge. So your brain doesn't know the difference. Like for example, that's the reason why when you go in a horror house in an amusement park, you are scared, is because on a conscious level that it's fake, but your body think it's real. That's why all the emotions are the same as if it was real. And
Yeah.
so when you imagine actually certain things, your brain thinks it's real, your body thinks it's real. And this is why you're slowly starting to change your brain, because it's like your body thought you were having a positive experience. Like instead of having every day a meditation where you tell yourself I'm beautiful, your body actually thinks that a guy came and told you you're beautiful. Okay, for your body is the same thing because it's feeling the same emotion. And this means that obviously slowly you start thinking like, maybe I'm beautiful, right? So that's crazy, and it's true. Like your body doesn't know the difference between reality and what is imagined, and you can play with it. You can play with it. Yeah.
That's I feel the best where when I can just either create or just sit in my sort of consciousness, or sit in that space when I just either I imagine something cool that's happening, or I'm just completely satisfied with what's happening, and I sort of go
Yeah.
back and forth between those two. That
Yeah.
is that is really the juice. But
That
then
is
like, of
really the
course
truth.
something happens and then just the whole thing is like thrown off. Uh,
Yeah, that's life, right?
yeah, yeah.
But no, that's
Uh,
exactly it. It's being grateful for what you have, being grateful and happy and complete with what you have. And then at the same time, you decide that if you want to create something else, so you have a vision of the future.
mm,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I think that's amazing. Should we say anything to our homies?
Oh, so to our homies. So Pierce, I don't even know if he knew that he doesn't read messages. Like that's the truth of Pierce. He probably didn't
He
read it,
reads
and
your
I
messages. Come
forgot.
on.
Huh?
He must read your messages.
He reads my message, and I feel very special because of it. No, but really, he doesn't read anybody else's messages. So last time I wrote to him the day before to tell him that we had this thing, but I forgot to tell him yesterday. But let's organize them more often. But no, message, yeah. Can't
You
wait to
can give
see.
them
Huh? Yeah, go
you can give
ahead.
them a little blessing, something like that.
Oh, go ahead. Why don't you start?
No, you had something. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh, no. I was just no. I'm curious to hear from you.
Okay, so let's think of Pierce. We can wish him, or okay, I wish him to feel more, mm, just more. He does already, but feel just completely comfortable in his own skin and just have his
Mm.
shoulders down. And he's a beautiful, beautiful soul. So
Wow.
he he deserves to feel the best way, you know. Um,
Yeah.
And he's so sweet, honestly. Like he just, I haven't read now I haven't read the messages, but like he gave me like boom, 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 like really, really cute messages, and I had like a little sneak peek, but didn't get into it. But yeah, I think it's awesome that he's trying to learn guitar now as well, and like taking vocal lessons, um, and with the app. Okay, so my blessing is about him feeling um, him feeling good, for lack of a better word, or him feeling like full, and good luck with the app. That's my blessing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. No, for me, I know that Pierce now is in a very good place. He did so much work on himself to get where he is now. So I'm very, very proud of him. Um, yeah, for me, the wish for him is really just that he continues to do that, because it's a journey and there will be ups and downs. It's always like that. So now he's in a good path, let's say, and I hope for him that he will never forget who he is, and when in the future, if there are hard things coming, that he knows who he is, so that he can overcome anything and just be um, never lose the consciousness he reached and the awareness that he reached now, and feeling good and everything. Just hope it always stays there. Yeah, and for Ayo, I'm not really in contact with Ayo that much, so I cannot say that much, but I hope that I can see him very soon, and I hope he's okay. And yeah, and I wish that he always also want to continue this dream about the community and this thing. But we all have different paths, so I don't know what he wants to do. You know him better than me.
Yeah, I yeah, I'm not sure. I wish that he knows that he has people that support him, that
Mm-hmm.
he's not alone, and I wish for him to like understand it's like easy. It's and that sounds maybe like arrogant, and I don't mean it that way, but like just like to be open that like um sometimes it's easier than we think. And I hope
Mm-hmm.
that he has that like energy of like a little like lightness
Mm.
um coming his way. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, that's beautiful. That's for all of us, really. Like, just always remember to
I know.
not to take things so seriously. That's a big one
Mhm.
for everybody.
How crazy that yeah, I mean I'm having a good life and all that, but I need to remind myself to like have fun and like humor and laugh and that kind of stuff. Like yeah, that like yeah, that is important to remind yourself, but also crazy that you have to remind yourself that's
Yeah,
actually important.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, 100%. It's a lot of the work is actually all about remembering, remembering who you are and remembering what life is about.
yeah.
That's one of the
I
biggest.
agree. I agree. We know all the stuff already. And then like maybe to summarize all the rest, I am including Deanna, David, I am including Tara, I'm
Yeah,
including maybe Peter and Sue even.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
yeah, I'm including Shay as well. Do you want to like have one word that goes out to them, goes out to all of them?
Well, um, what can I say? Um, well, again, because we all lived that amazing experience at Gaia, but it was kind of short. Even if it's for some of you, it was like 6 months or something like that, it's still short in a lifetime. So what I really, really hope is that they will not forget what they have gained from Gaia, and who they are, and yeah, again, what life is about. Because when you get back into the world, it's so easy to get lost again. So I just hope that they will always remember who they are. Yeah.
Hmm. Oh, I haven't
Uh-huh.
said this so long.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's me, you, and Piers were also very lucky because we're in touch with each other all the time, and that's also a very powerful way of helping each other remember. you know.
That's like in the Buddhist. There's like the eight. Oh, I don't know if it's part of that, but I think maybe I'm wrong. But there's like the eightfold path, or what is it? Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
eightfold path.
Yeah, eight truth or something. Yeah.
That's right, that's right. And a lot of them are about like your own inner discipline, but one of it is other people, like the sangha or something like that, like the community that is essential. Like you cannot stay in that frequency without the mirrors, like being other people, being your mirrors. But yeah, that is that.
Oh, that could, yeah, that's exactly it. It's mirrors. Like I have this thing. I mean, soon I have to go, so but just so quickly because I have
Yes,
lunch
right.
with my parents. It's also late at your place, but I have
Okay,
this
okay.
thing that I really believe that people's are our mirror really, and you can like for peers, it's we are mirroring each other, but in a way that is ridiculous. It's ridiculous, and also you in a way. Yeah, I 100% agree that just surrounding also yourself with the people that you can see yourself in, so that you can always learn and remind you of what you want to be reminded of.
I
100%.
Yes, I read in a, believe it or not, like in a scientific paper, something, a really cool expression is like a lot of people are joining social movements because they recognize a part of themselves in that movement. But
Yeah,
just that idea, like, oh, I see that out there and I recognize some part of myself in it. I think that's so, so beautiful, actually.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, 100%. And at the end of the day, when the more you pay attention, the more you see that there is a part of yourself in everybody. Like everybody
Uh-huh.
is actually reflecting a part of you. But yeah, so that's when you start also having more compassion towards people, etc. But yeah, there's a reason why I'm hanging with you, peers, and the gang, because I don't
Yeah.
know. I just feel very similar to you in so many ways. So yeah.
Yeah, likewise, likewise.
Yeah.
It would be cool when I upload the video if we can have like a little picture as the thumbnail. You know what I
Uh-huh.
mean? Like
Uh-huh.
the maybe I'm gonna ask Piers to make like a funny one again with like the sausage and the avocado and that the potato. That would be funny.
All right. Yeah, yeah. Let's do that. Let's do that.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much for taking time for this call.
Yeah. Yeah, let's have that more often. Like I'm really enjoy
I'm
it.
up for it for sure.
Yeah, yeah. Even if they go all over the place, I don't care. It's really, really cool.
Yes, yes. I think we can be like creative with it. Like, what about like reading like poems in it and stuff like that? You know, like just have like
Really interesting. Yeah, really whatever we want.
whatever comes to mind. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah. Absolutely.
cool.
All right.
Have a safe journey to Namibia.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah,
I'll send you some pictures.
that would be nice. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So have a good
Okay, big
night.
hug.
Bye. Love you so much.
Love
Bye.
you.